I want to start off, and I have the agenda in front of me. I do want to start off by just thanking everybody on the call. Samara, your emails have been amazing, so I'm very appreciative. And Lisa, this is your first, I think, official committee meeting with us.
It's my first. I don't know if it's official yet. I haven't been.
I'll say
I haven't been admitted to the board yet, as far as I know.
But I do want to say thank you. It's been a rough summer for me personally, and a rough beginning of the fall for me as I've faced. And Samara, fix your face when I say this, but I've had 4 passings in my family from July to now, and so the patience of the committee, and especially Noah picking up some of the heavy lifting, the considerate emails I received. It shows that this is not just a committee that does work, but a committee that cares about each other. So I'm very, very appreciative. And so is my larger family, my sister and everybody else in my circle, So let's go ahead and get started for today. So hopefully we can get some things done, but then move on or so. Old business, I'm going to go off the agenda. So old business was benchmarking of past efforts. And Lisa, I'll unpack some of this as well. So what we wanted to do, the advocacy committee is kind of at a standstill, in my opinion, a little bit. And Samara, feel free to chime in and jump in as well.
Sure.
A little bit at a standstill in terms of that we believe that this is a great opportunity to really re-examine what our focus is, but also what type of impact we can have. This past summer, members of this committee took the lead in writing a letter, proclamation of sorts in response to the summer that we've had with Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, some of the protesting and marching and things of that nature. And so it's been the question of where can we be the most effective using the tools that are to our advantage, meaning the tools, the training, the skill sets of each committee member. And so one of the things that we were going to do was look at other similar bodies of organizations such as this committee, whether it is in like towns, size, let's say Toledo, or towns of, similar populations, but also looking at Columbus, looking at Cincinnati, looking at Cleveland, and looking at in this region as well. So not just Ohio, but possibly Appalachia region as well, to see what type of missions, what type of goals do they have, so we can really have some streamlined goals and some targets that we would like to meet. I have my notes that I will, so that was one of our old business outcomes that we were looking at. I did benchmark 5 different organizations that I will send out to the committee for review. I didn't want to take that much time today just regurgitating and reciting. And so I'll send my notes out to everybody just for review. So at our next meeting, we can take a look at those best practices. And what I hope to do is put out a call to other committee members to see what other benchmarks they may have had to make it into one big document. That way it's not 5 or 6 different documents or emails that are going out, but possibly one big document, maybe on Google Docs or so, that people can add notes in, or maybe just a shared document that everybody can access, put notes, put questions, and so forth. I think that this is a highly critical time. The momentum that we're seeing right now, both as a nation, as a country, here in Ohio, here in Athens, we want to capitalize on that momentum, both of not just of social justice, but of communication and helping others. And so I think it will be a disservice to this committee if we don't ride that momentum to some very positive outcomes, some goals that we can meet, things of that nature. And so, unfortunately, that old business was planned, I want to say probably like 3 months ago or so, because this is the first time that I've been back here with this body for a while, just because of everything going on in my personal life. So that was really our old business. There was really not so much any letters that we're currently writing right now, or any communications that we're looking to send, or in the middle of, both to local government, citywide government, and then Ohio government that we're at right now. Now, that could be one of the new goals that we're going to move into for new business or for goals that we're seeking. But right now, there is no current projects. There are no current letters. There are no current teamwork opportunities that we're currently in the middle of. And I don't want to say and this is where I get a little stuck in. I do want that to change. I do want us to have projects that we're working on. I do want us to have letters that we're writing, or just, deliverable dates that we're aiming towards. But I also don't want that to be busy work. I don't want to just create a stack of work for us to do, because Lord knows that we're all busy in our own lives in so many different ways. But I do see that this committee has some amazing people that are committed to this committee. And I think that, again, we can use that to our advantage. There are some great people with some great skill sets, and I really want to take advantage of that. So I'm hoping that we move quickly from the benchmarking to actually designing some projects, designing some goals that are holistic to the committee, but also feasible and ambitious as well. Samara, anything that you want to add to that rambling monologue I just said?
No, I agree. I think we definitely have the potential to advocate for injustices, whether it's people with disabilities, people who are going through some of the social injustices that we've seen, but also on top of that, having a disability with it, I think we could advocate for. So I think that's a good approach. And I'm looking forward to seeing what our committee has to offer. So I'm looking for all of us to kind of lead in the right direction, and maybe getting assistance from the general body as well, on what that would look like. But I would love to hear some of our ideas today to see where we can go from here. But yeah, I agree, Sly.
Yeah, and so I would love to, I'm going to table that portion of the conversation to our portion C for goals for both 2021 as we wrap up this, I hate to say academic year because I'm such a higher ed head, but as we wrap up this calendar year and move into our new calendar year, like what are some big overreaching goals that we may want to target, but then separately, we're going to start piecing that out. And Lisa, feel free. I mean, this is how the meetings are ran. They're formal, but very informal, because I want to have that family dialogue, conversation, opportunity. So feel free to jump in at any time or chance or so. And Scott, I see you're on the call, so feel free to jump in as well.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I don't think I have the option to put my face on there. I didn't get the invitation. I don't believe from Scott. So I think I'm on here maybe as a guest. Is that possible?
I see you, and I think that's on me because I don't see your name on the email list I sent over. Okay. So I'll correct that for our next meeting. But as always, brother, happy to hear from you and happy that you're here as well.
And I'm not all that sad to not have my face up there either.
All right. Well, let's move on to new business. So one of the things that we were also having, we started off being kind of consistent, but then again, because of me being off the grid, and then it's always hard to pass on that responsibility of scheduling our meetings and things of that nature, because the scheduling of the meetings, because we are a public city entity that is, aligned with the mayor's office, there are certain regulations that we have to follow in terms of getting this meeting set up. One of the things is, in a timely fashion, the agenda has to be made public. The members of the committee need to be notified. And then, of course, securing the spot so it can be hosted online so people can watch live as we're being shown right now, but also it's being recorded so they can go back. And so that creates a couple steps where it's not, hey, Scott, today, not Scott, but yeah, Scott. Like there's so many Scotts, but it's not as if I can call Scott the morning of a meeting and say, Scott, can you put this on the calendar for 5 p.m.? Because that time may already be accessed by or held by a different committee and so forth. And so one of the things, we were at one scheduled time before, but then miscommunication happened and that time got shifted. Last month, the personal invites did not go out, so I logged in and it was only me logging in. So there's been a lot of this different miscommunication on why we haven't had consistent meeting times scheduled. And so what I wanted to propose at this point is to lock down the meeting times for us so we can put it with the city and it's just held and we just go from there. Originally, I had asked to see if if there was a slot available for Tuesday at 5 p.m., which then got pushed to 5:30 to 6:30. And so even as Scott exited and began the stream for us, he also made mention of, hey, Sly, make sure that, we have some time before 7 so we can shift over to the other committees as well. And I say all of that to ask, how does this time look for everybody right now? So this will be the second Tuesday of the month at 5:30 or possibly 5 p.m. I have no preference. I don't teach in the evening, and the only thing I do in the evening is write my dissertation and go to the gym. So either one is a good break for me, but I want to be respectful of the lives that our committee members live and lead, family commitments, church commitments, work commitments, things of that nature. So I would love to open the floor to entertain some ideas of when, should, time, and things of that nature.
I can say personally, I like the 5:30 time slot. After all these years of the commission meetings at 5:30, I've kind of conditioned myself around that. Gives you time to have dinner, as opposed to a late dinner and then going to bed, as soon as I finish dinner. So I like the 5:30.
Okay, so I hear.
Yeah, I agree with Scott. I like the 5:30 time. After you get off of work, you have a little bit of time to kind of set and do whatever you need, and then get to the meeting. 5:30 is a great time.
Works for me.
How does the Tuesday look like for you all? The second Tuesday of the month. How does that sound? Is that feasible for me to lock that down? And I agree, the 5:30 gives me that separation between 5 and 5:30 when I get off of work, just to catch my breath and see your, smiling faces. So how does Tuesday sound? Second Tuesday of every month.
Good for me.
Yeah, so far, I think Tuesdays would work as well for me. Sly, I believe I'm on the education committee as well, and I believe they're the second Wednesday of each month at 5:30. So I'm just going to make sure I don't,
double book yourself.
Double book myself. So I'll make sure I double check on when that next meeting is with them.
Totally sounds good. Yeah. Lisa, what about you? Like I said, you're family to us already, so I'm going to get your thoughts as well.
Tuesday works great for me.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to coordinate that communication over to Scott and the city and see what we can do to ensure that we have that time slot reserved, arranged, and go from there. Okay. One of the things that I said...
Hey, Sly, if I can interrupt you, just jump in here. If you guys can maybe pick two possibilities, and then we can run that by Patty too, just to make sure, because there's a lot of coordination here, and I just don't want to have a little backup plan if you could.
I'll repeat it before. I appreciate it, brother.
Yep.
So we know that Wednesday is the education committee, which then leaves Monday, Thursday, or Friday. I'm trying to think, do the days of the week change? And they don't. So any preference on those other? So first priority will be the Tuesday, but then second priority will be another day if the Tuesday is not available. So Monday, Thursday, or Friday. Any suggestions or any preference on those days?
Thursday would be better for me.
I hear a call for Thursday.
That's good for me also. Anything but Friday.
So I hear Friday is a no.
And then, Thursday, that works. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'll put as a first preference for Tuesday, and Patty is one of the head coordinators of receiving our agenda and our meeting times and such like that. She's the one that you might also see emails from. So I'll put first priority will be Tuesday at 5:30, and then the second priority will be Thursday. And what that does, it gives us a good opportunity, of course, to meet prior to the commission meeting the following week. So we can do work, debrief our work here, and then from there make a committee report to the commission the following week. So I'm happy about that. The other piece of finalizing the meeting structure in terms of goals and structure of the meeting, unless anybody says they want to do sole Robert Rules of Order, I really hope that this meeting space is more of a dialogue and more of communication and conversations along towards our goals. I do appreciate the agendas to help us keep us in place, but it's also a required component of who we are. And so with that, I want to be a little bit more organized in the creation, distribution of the agendas. And so what that means for me is I would like for you all to have an agenda at least 24 hours in advance of the meeting to make any reviews or so, any additions or edits or so, but also just so you have it so it's not brand new when you see it, the meeting of. So depending on if we are meeting on Tuesday, I would love for you to have the agenda by Monday by noon, to be honest with you, and Thursday, Wednesday by noon. I think it's respectful for me to you of your time, of the work that you're willing to do, and the investment of yourself being here. It's just, to me, it gives me a space to, block everything else out and then focus on this and make sure that this is taken care of. Is there anything else that, normally, Lisa, if, pre-COVID, pre-coronavirus and everything, we would be meeting in person. We would be at the community center, or we will be at some space where we can see each other and, have fellowship with each other as we do this work. But unfortunately, we're here as well. And so I am open to any thoughts or any ideas to make this virtual space a little bit different than other virtual spaces that we sit in, but also productive as well. I think that over the last 6 to 7 months, we've sat in a variety of different virtual meetings, virtual webinars, virtual teachings, trainings, things of that nature. And I kind of want this space to be a little bit different in the fact that we are different in terms of our purpose and what we're trying to do, but also want us to make sure that we're productive as well. So I'm open to any insights, any ideas of how we use this space in a productive way, but also builds community amongst ourselves as well. Because I really believe that had we, if we were at the community center right now, there will be a lot more life, a lot more laughter, because we're happy to be around each other. And I want that same sense of camaraderie and community to be with us virtually as well. Okay. So if you have any thoughts or any ideas that we can incorporate into our meeting structure to make it that way, definitely recommend something or shoot me an idea and we'll go from there.
We could all wear funny hats.
Is that, are you saying that this is already a funny hat? Full disclosure, if you ever see me wearing a hat, it's because I didn't comb my hair that morning. Like, I shouldn't be saying that publicly, but it's because there's a lot of hair underneath here and I just haven't really did it today. So
I wasn't referring to you, Sly, at all.
Funny hats, though. I can dig it, though. I can dig it. Finalizing officer duties and responsibilities. That was one of, I believe that I've been somehow voted or somehow assumed leadership of being the chair of this committee, which I gladly accept. It's work that I love to do. The one thing that I do want to ask for volunteers, not right now, but possibly to think it over for the next meeting, is not so much a vice chair or co-chair, but somebody where, again, if something should happen and I have to go offline for a week or so, then somebody can resume those duties and make sure that the meeting gets held and things of that nature. Not normally, but in the last month, I leaned on Noah quite a bit, just because he was emailing me about, hey, Sly, the meeting's coming up. Where do we sit at? Noah, I got to run out of town. Can you take care of this for me? Which he gladly did. But I don't want to assume that his help meant that he's willing to step into that role full time. So what I plan to do with any objections, obviously. What I plan to do is send out a email that has the responsibilities of what that person may assume, meeting scheduling, agenda being sent out, things of that nature, should I not be available. So basically, it'll be a description of the chair's responsibilities that will be assumed should I have to go offline or have to go back to Texas or whatever the case may be. I think that way, having that structure set up will help us be more organized, but also make sure that we don't, fall back into what we've had the last couple of weeks of, well, slides off the grid. And so who's assuming these responsibilities? It wasn't formalized. And then we were just, grasping at straws, to be honest with you. So I'll put out that email by next week so everybody can get some thoughts on it and we can go from there. Scott, do you know of any other, because I haven't really been able to see language on this, or Samara, you may have insight on this as well. What other roles are needed within the committee? I mean, do we need a secretary? Now, I hate to use the word secretary because it has that gender connotation to it, but do we have like a recorder, somebody that's taking minutes and things of that nature? I don't know what other roles we may need to fill. And Scott, Samara, do you have any insight or any idea?
I think somebody taking notes would certainly be a good idea, personally. I don't know if we need to have that person have an official title, but I think it's pretty easy otherwise that when we go to present to the full commission to perhaps forget details. Does that make sense?
It does, because I'm an old man, and so my memory is not the greatest, and sometimes the little things I tend to forget. Scott, don't you laugh. Don't let this brown skin fool you. I am an old. But I think that's a good idea. I think, that's a good idea. So not only for the reporting to the full commission, but also on a historical note, so we can see the progress, so we have that documentation, and we can reflect back on ideas or comments that may have been said as well. One of the benefits that we do have is that because this is recorded, it is uploaded, we can always go back and rewatch if we need to. But having that just sent out, those hard bullet points for review prior to a committee meeting may be helpful as well. Samara, any insight or any thoughts on any other roles for the committee that may be useful?
Yeah, I was thinking in the education committee, they have the presidents or the leaders, the co-leaders, and they have the leaders. So it would be Carolyn and Barry at this time. And then they also, like Scott said, they have a secretary. So those are the top three that I can think of that are in the education committee. So as long as we have those three, I think we should be okay. Perhaps Lisa or someone else, if there's other titles that we can add. I'm sure it wouldn't hurt our committee, but making sure we probably have those top three.
Okay. And Lisa, I mean, like I said, you're part of the family already, so I'm going to get your thoughts. Can you think of any, like in other like committees or organizations that you belong to that this committee may benefit from?
No, I think those three are all that are needed. How big is your committee? How many people usually sit on this committee?
So right now, there are three of us, well, including you, there's four. There's
J.W. Smith. He's involved, correct?
Correct. So altogether, there is 8, and that's including yourself, Lisa, and that's including William, who expressed interest as well.
Okay.
So on the full meeting, with full attendance, we'll be looking around 8 people, which is a pretty sizable committee, to be honest with you.
Yes.
And that's what gives me hope that that work can really be done in an effective, impactful way. What I can do is I can ask Dr. Lewis, who's a member of the commission as well. I can ask Dr. Lewis if there's any formal language that exists for those 3 roles. And if not, then I can just write something up and send it out to everybody just to get their thoughts on who may want to volunteer for those roles. And I agree. I think that if we can get those 3 really solidified, then we would be in a good place. So I'm okay with those three. And I don't think we need like a sergeant at arms or anything like that, unless Scott wants to continue talking about my hat. So we'll go from there. Goals for 2020, 2021. This was going to be a continuing. So this was new business, but also old business, continuing the conversation in terms of next steps of where we want to make those big projects or big goals. And this is what I meant by also, if the agenda had been sent out prior to, then we could have came in with the information versus being asked cold on the spot right now. So potentially I'm going to table that bullet point until later, until the next meeting. I'm like setting myself for a lot of work, which I'm okay with. And what I would like to do is put out a request and maybe even create a survey to the committee, to committee members, where they can type in their survey, their big project idea, what resources may be needed, a time frame, and just a short description. I think that way, if I can get all of that on a survey and then fed into my email, I can compose it, send it out to everybody, and we can review those goals at our next meeting next month. Any thoughts on proceeding in that manner? Or I just don't want to put us on the spot right now to both, if we don't have the information or, topics ready, I kind of don't want to put us on the spot just to like think outside of the box right now, but also I want to give people time to really think about, looking around Athens, looking around, what's been done before, and to really think, where do we want to go with some of our goals and ideas for next year?
Let me bounce an idea off of everybody. And just because I'm sure none of you were around when I last proposed this, and for some reason it never went anywhere, but I've often thought that it'd be great that when you enter the city limits, that there was a sign that said, "Welcome to Athens, a disability-friendly community," something like that. I mean, if you're talking about advocacy, I just think that would just be, every time a issue comes up, whether it's parking, whether it's accessibility, in the back of your mind, everybody's going to see that sign every time they enter the city limits, and they're going to say, "We are a disability-friendly community." And I think it would go a long ways. And I don't know if there's legal barriers to enacting something like that. I've certainly never seen it anywhere. But obviously, we're a progressive city, and maybe it'd be a first.
Thoughts from everybody?
I think that's an interesting idea. We could run it by maybe somebody at the Department of Developmental Disabilities, Scott. See if anybody's ever come up with this before, or if they see any issues around it.
I think it's an interesting idea, and I also think I'm more of a virtual learner. So even as you're describing it, I'm thinking in my head, when you drive in from the Plains or drive in from Logan, you're taking Route 33 in, you're looking at the signage. And so even as you were articulating it, I was thinking, what is there to say publicly that this is a place that, I don't want to say tolerates, because tolerates is the wrong word, but welcomes those that with disabilities or families that are, founded on disabilities, or even that lived identity. I think that over the past 6 months, we've seen the benefit and we've seen the benefit of visual declarations with either Black Lives Matter, the Pride flag, or during Pride Month and things of that nature. We've seen the hostility towards those signs as well. But knowing that people can point to something visually and rally around that has been important here in Athens over the last 6 months. And so even as you describe it, I can't think of anywhere we have Black Lives Matter signs and windows in different restaurants and things of that nature, but I can't say that I've seen anything outside publicly that says if you identify in this manner, whether you have a disability or your family, is founded or centered around disabilities, you're welcome here and you're supported and you're loved. I can't say I really haven't seen communication like that. I think that it is, once you get here and get embedded in the community, you understand that there's support. But for those that are coming in, that, that visual, being represented visually is important. And that's where I see where this may be a very good idea. I also see where this could be a great partnership with the communication committee in terms of where we may be able to use joint resources to make this happen. So I'm on board. But that's what I mean. I'm on board, but I also don't want to commit to it right away until we finalize, the feasibility in terms of, legal, what's capable, what's not capable, and things of that nature. But as to throw an idea, Scott, I think that's like a home run of the night. I think that's a very, very good idea.
Okay, yeah, I guess I could see where one criticism of it might be, and maybe this is why it's never happened when I brought it up before, is that a concern that economic interest developers might see that and say, oh boy, a roadblock perhaps to development if, as if, okay, we're disability friendly, meaning you're going to have to accommodate people with disabilities if you want to do business in Athens. I mean, I see
that, the big business and how they may reflect on that as well. Because we are public, I will be mindful of the words that I use. But to me, I would hope that wouldn't be a deciding factor. But I can definitely see how it could be.
And again, to be honest, I think it would have little impact, but I think there may be interests who would be worried about that.
I can see that. I can see that as well.
Yeah, I could also see the pros and cons of that, Scott. I personally believe that it would be a very warm, welcoming feeling for a person with a disability to see that sign and completely feel welcome while entering Athens County. Something that they really emphasize is helping and working with people with disabilities. We pride ourselves in Athens County for that. So I think it would be completely warm, welcoming, but I also see how other businesses may look down upon that. So maybe bringing that to the general body, the commission, and just asking them what they think about that. But I think it's a really creative idea.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I do want to throw it out to the commission tomorrow. I think that's a great idea, just to get some general thoughts before too much gas is put into the idea. I'm going to bring that up during our, and I'll give anybody the floor that wants to talk about it next week during the commission meeting, just to say, this is the idea we're having. What are some general thoughts we're having before we invest some resources into seeing the feasibility? Because I think we have to make it very clear. This is not something that we're saying that we've already started, but something that we're going to, quarterback or map around the idea. And we want to get the buy-in of the whole commission as well, because, who knows? This could be something where it really helps identify the commission in terms of what they do or what we do on the public space. But then, some people may have different opinions, and I want to be respectful of that as well. So, but as something to lead off with in terms of ideas, I think that is a great example of the scope that our projects and ideas can be, but then also like the way we go about them as well. Scott, I'm sorry to cut you off. What were you saying?
Well, honestly, I'll let you make the proposal or bring up the idea before the full committee.
I appreciate it,
I could tell you would present better than I would.
About that. Don't let this voice fool you. Don't let this voice fool you. So let's move on to item D, potential new members. One of the things, Lisa, and I had this in my head as we began the meeting, that we should have did introductions, but I kind of wanted to wait to do introductions until we got to later, just because I wanted you to get a sense of who we were sitting with us during the meeting before we introduced ourselves, and then give you a chance to introduce yourself as well. So I will go first because I'm rambling tonight. I'm Sly Mata. When I am not here with the committee, I'm the Assistant Director for Diversity for the College of Business here at OU. I'm a transplant here to Athens. I've been here for 18 months. Originally from Arizona, but finishing my PhD out of Houston. When I finished coursework, found a job and moved here. So I am here. I'm a video game nerd, comic book junkie. So that's why. And I've been with the commission for maybe about a year now. Time goes by when you're having fun. And so my work with the commission has been enjoyable because of the people that are both in this committee, but also in the commission overall. Scott, do you want to go next?
Okay, sure. I guess I'm certainly the longest serving commission member, 15 years. Anybody that sat in on the Athena Award saw that I was recognized for my 15 years. I finally, they were enforcing the term limit on me. I don't know how I got away with certainly violation of the bylaws, I guess, that I served 15 years. But been through 3 mayors, appointed by 3 different mayors, and met a lot of people over those years. But as far as my occupation, I work, my office is actually adjacent to Lisa's at Havar. I've done primarily job development in recent years. Came to the agency in self-advocacy, promoting self-advocacy, and been through wore various hats, most recently job development, and volunteered with City Commission on Disabilities as well as with the Health Department for the last 5 years as a community health worker.
Yes.
Ms. Dower, do you want to go next?
Here. So I'm Samora, and I am a graduate of Ohio University. I completed my a dual master's degree there. I did clinical mental health and rehabilitation counseling. So definitely disability. However, it's not the physical disability, but mental. So I work with ages anywhere from 7 to 17. But I'm currently at the Nelsonville York Elementary School, where I do a lot of counseling there. In addition to this, I am currently working with Hopewell Health Centers, and it's something that I've been doing for 5 years, including my internship. And I've been on the committee for approximately about a year as well with Sly.
Great. It's nice to meet you all.
Yeah, nice to meet you as well, Lisa.
Well, I am Lisa Simpson, and I've worked with Havar for 41 years. So I've made it my career.
There were no child labor laws when Lisa.
No, there weren't. I did start when I was a baby, for sure. It's been a very rewarding career. I've held several positions with the agency, and I've been active in several advocacy groups within the state. I'm a mom of 3 adult children. I'm a grandma of 3 little girls.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I have lived in Athens County for many, many years.
Well, we are excited that you showed interest to the committee. Excited that you followed up that interest and are here joining us. If there's any, because Scott, maybe you can give us, I don't know what the process is for joining the committee. So Lisa, I'm happy you're here. But I do want to follow like rules and policies in terms of ensuring that whatever paperwork you may need, should you still, that interest still exists, for both at the commission level, but also committee level, to ensure that that happens in a respectful way, but also, for people that love this work and want to commit to this work, like I'm never one to turn down a helping hand. So if the interest after tonight is still there, then you definitely let us know. Because I know that you had shown interest in the committee a while ago, but then I was offline for a bit back at home. And so it took us a while to actually get you into the space with us. And I'm ecstatic that you're here. Like, you can see the excitement on my face right now. But really, anybody that is willing to assist in this work is always going to be welcome to me. And so we are definitely happy to have you here.
I look forward to learning more and hope that the commission, I have submitted my application. So that is
perfect then.
In review.
Yeah.
As we wrap up, any announcements? One of the things that I do teach, I teach an intro to business course for undecided first year students. One of the things that we either begin or end the meeting with, our class with, is talking about the wins, like what is going well for us. And because we're at half capacity today, I think that we have that space. So any announcements that we have, both on the personal, professional level, and if not, I would just love to close up by hearing any wins or highlights of your week that have been so far on Tuesday, so 3 days into the week. Ms. Dower, I'm looking right at you because you're already nodding your head, so I know you're gonna have like the biggest one. So
I honestly, I have no updates at this time. I think I just do it one day at a time. But I'm glad that, this committee is, we're working towards advocating. I think I look forward to figuring out how I could be a part of advocating for individuals in a disability community. My first experience was working with Dr. Lewis at WUB Radio and Television. Mm-hmm. So I think every day is a win. I try to remain grateful. Because we're all working in a population that's really underserved, and to work with some of the families in the Athens County community, it's just a joy. So I'm very thankful that I could do the work that I do and still have extra time for the advocacy committee and working with this committee. It really is. I'm very grateful.
Well, we're always grateful to see you, because I don't think there's any time I don't see you where you're in a positive mood. And so that is.
well, Lisa may be able to say when you work with kids, you kind of have to be kind of upbeat for these kids.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You probably know with your grandchildren.
Well, my sister's a first grade teacher. And so I know when she's teaching and when she's not in teaching mode. So I appreciate it. Lisa, Scott, highlights of your week, any wins of the week before we go?
Boy, oh boy. Weather-wise, you sure can't beat it, can you?
Yeah.
And sunshine. So, yeah, I'm a weather person, so I guess that may be my highlight.
No, I agree. That's been a big one.
Definitely enjoyed the sun today. And I was excited to learn about a new hiking path. Not that I'm a hiker, but I just enjoy walking on occasion. A friend of mine, Shady Dan of Athens, we're in a Zoom meeting together, and we learned about I think it's called Bailey's Path, the new hiking or the bike trail, or it sounds pretty cool. So Dan and I are looking forward to checking that out.
Oh, cool.
And for me, a couple hours before, and Lisa, I don't think I mentioned this like officially, but my mom passed suddenly at the end of the summer from a heart attack. And so that's why I was offline for a while. And last time I went home, which was for my great aunt's passing, but when the last time I went home, we transferred ownership of my mom's car to myself, and it just arrived today. And so for me, that's been like the final piece of this closure of this process. And for me, because my mom suffered from diabetes, she suffered from heart disease and a different number of ailments. For me, it reinforced why this committee is important, and it goes back to what Samara has said. This is a population here that sometimes is invisible. Sometimes they don't feel like they're seen or heard. And we're able to, redistribute some of that power, whether it's through the hard work that we do or whether it's the privilege that we have. Getting my mom's card today, then coming home for this meeting, just reinforced to me the power and this opportunity that we have, but also why I do enjoy doing this work. So
That's
on
awesome.
that note, I want to close the meeting and thank you all for being here. Like, I really thought this was going to be a quick meeting, but we almost went the full hour, which I am happy to spend time with you all.
Hey, Slide, can I mention one thing?
Yeah, go for it, brother.
Okay. As we were talking, I realized that my original proposal was not a disability-friendly community, but a disability-inclusive community. And that may have a little better ring to it. I don't know. Whatever you think.
I think both. Can really be. I think the way that, however we frame it, and I think that's why I agree with Samara that, bringing it to the commission overall to get different insights on how we may want to frame the idea, the pros and cons of it, but also get those recommendations or get that insight from other members. Because I think I can see both happening, but I'm also interested to see how both may feel or look a different way from other members as well. So I would definitely bring it up at our meeting and we can go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
And
family.
Lisa, I just wanted to have one last thing. Lisa, I wanted to say I'm actually glad that you'll be joining the committee because you said that you've worked on some other advocacy committees or advocacy. So it would be very helpful. So yeah, to hear ideas of things that you've seen and things that, the community needed would be wonderful to hear from you.
Okay. I look forward to it.
Yeah.
And before we go, I need some clarity, because I think I've been, Ms. Dower, I think I've been saying your name wrong this whole night, haven't I?
No, it's Samora. I think you say it right.
No, I think I was saying Samara. And the reason I think I was saying that is because my niece's name is Amara. So I think I was getting those pronunciations mixed up in my head. So I just want to apologize because I'm a big person on names being pronounced the way they should. So I just want to clarify that because I didn't want to be, this is a public channel and I wanted to make sure next time we're here that I'm pronouncing your name. So.
Great. And that is correct. It's Samora. But Scott, I think disability friendly community, I think it has a better ring to it because it's saying that we're inclusive with that community.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would.
Yeah, personally, I like it, but I just kind of wondered if it wouldn't look more professional. I don't know. I'm happy with either one.
Mm-hmm.
I like friendly.
Friendly is more welcoming.
It is. It's so welcoming. And I take my hat off to you. You've been through an awful lot, but to have you still smiling on this video for all of us, losing your mother and then back to back your aunt this summer, I just hope that that you have my support and the General Commission. We all wanted to pass our condolences to you.
Most definitely. So. And it's been, I'll be honest with you, the passing of my mom was something I never thought I would experience in this manner. But what made me feel good was the outpouring of support, but also getting the cards from the commission as well. And Dr. Lewis was very instrumental in that. She was texting me, the commission is here for you. The commission is here for you. You let us know what you need. Like, Dr. Lewis, I'm in Phoenix. And still, y'all came through with flowers, cards, and everything. And for me and my sister, because it is only me and my sister. My mom, for my mom, she only had me and her. For us two, it brought a very good sense of relief having that support there. So on behalf of myself and my sister, we are internally grateful. So thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right, family, go eat a late dinner or early dinner, depending on your time schedules. And I will see you all later.
Okay. Good night.